Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hairstylist Podcast. This is your host, and my name is Billie Jean. I'm so excited that we are on episode 17. I haven't even been doing this that long, but it's been an amazing journey so far, and I just can't believe that I'm already at episode 17. I started this podcast back in June, and we are now in October. These months are flying by, and we are almost at the end of the year, and I just can't believe that Thanksgiving is like really next month. So I just hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. My weekend was pretty busy, but it was great. I have no complaints. I had a very, very, very busy last week, starting Monday. My dad has been battling cancer, and that's been an uphill battle. It's just a constant battle because the kind of cancer that he has is very aggressive, and you just never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. But what I will say is that he is a trooper, and that he is truly fighting, and he is in good spirits, and that keeps me in good spirits to know that he's not letting it bring his spirits down and just affect him. And he's doing pretty well. I mean, he should be getting ready to come home either, as early as this week, the beginning of this week, hopefully no later than Friday. But he's been doing well. He is just fighting and trying to beat this thing. And he's very optimistic about them, healing him and him just coming out of this thing. And it's changing him. I could see a major change in him. He's a lot more nicer and just more grateful, I would say, and appreciative of everything that me and my sisters are doing for him. And it's just an uphill battle. It's a constant thing, and it's been kind of challenging, if I'm honest. It's challenging for several reasons. It's challenging because a lot of things that happen to your family members or your loved ones or your parents or whoever it may be, you just don't want that for them. You don't want it at all, and you always think of ways of making them comfortable and happy while they're going through. But it's just tough because you don't want to see people suffering or feeling a certain kind of way or just in pain or whatever the case is. So it's just uncomfortable for that, and the fact that you just never know what's going to happen, like I said, from one day to the next. So that's what I'm struggling with right now. And on top of that, my son, I said on a couple episodes a while back that he has type 1 diabetes. So I'm not saying any of this stuff to have a pity party. I just want to put that out there. And I'm not trying to make people feel sorry for me. I'm just being transparent because I know that there are people that deal with this stuff all the time. You may be taking care of a parent right now that has cancer or some type of ailment, and it's just overwhelming for you because you may be the only child, or you might be one of the only siblings doing something, and it's overwhelming. And so, but I'm dealing with it in two ways because I have my father, and then I also have my son, where my son is since the change of weather has been happening, he has caught a cold, which now is triggering the blood sugar levels to be much higher than normal. So that, I don't know if you all are familiar with type 1, but in type 1, when the sugars high like that, they are prone to having, ketosis, and it's very hard because the acid is just like a buildup, and it's just a lot. I advise you to do research on it because it's just too overwhelming for me to even just keep talking about. But just know that when he gets a cold, it's not like a regular cold like us. I have to watch his blood sugars, make sure that he doesn't have ketones in his urine. And that's the acid that I was talking about. So, but it's been happening over the last week, as well as me going back and forwards to the hospital. And then I was just sick. So it's just been rough, to say the least. But God is still who he is, and he's still good, and he still has a plan. So the title of this podcast today is that God still has a plan. And I just wanted to talk about that because it's so important to know that even in the midst of all of the trials and tribulations and sufferings and problems that you're going through, God still has a plan. And so you have to continue to trust him. And you have to go through everything that you're going through, and you still have to find some joy from somewhere. Because if you don't, that's when depression is set in. That's when anxiety will kick in. And that's when just everything will seem so unbearable, and you'll be feeling like you can't handle any of this. And that is not how God built us. He didn't build us to handle things alone. He built us to depend on him 100%, and to trust and know that there is a plan at the end of all of this. Because we don't just go through these things just to go through them. There's a reason. It's going to either build you or break you, but you have to decide which one you want. And for me, I want to be built up. I want my character to be built so that I can handle things at a larger capacity. I can't handle certain things if they only stay minute and small. I have to learn how to handle everything. And I have to learn how to trust God and have a relationship with God, because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to get through any of the hard things that I go through. So I know why I'm going through everything. It's not easy and it's not fun, but I find joy in the fact that I know that God is still God. I find joy in the fact that I've seen him bring other people through these same situations. I find joy in the fact that he is still a healer, so he can heal my dad. I find joy in the fact that he can heal my son. I find joy in the fact that he covers me and that he protects me and guides me, and that he gives me wisdom and understanding when I don't understand what's going on. I find joy in the fact that he loves me and he loves my family. He loves my father. He loves my son. He loves you. He loves anybody connected to me. He loves everybody. So I'm just excited about those things. So that's what gives me joy. But I have to be honest that when things are happening, you don't always look for joy. You always feel the effects of whatever's going on, and it doesn't always feel good. But it's important to stop at some point and pray. And when you pray, God will answer you, and he'll give you the wisdom that you need to get through these very difficult moments. And I'm not making light of anything that either one of them are going through, but somebody has to pray for them. Somebody has to be strong. So even when they feel like breaking down or they feel like it's too much for them, I still have to be strong and be an intercessor for them. And God gives me the strength to be able to be bold and courageous for him and to fight when I need to fight, certain battles, because these are all battles. And I'm not saying that God sent all of these battles. A lot of the diseases and things that we have don't come from God. They come from Satan. But we have to fight him, and we have to not bow down to it, but keep continuously fighting hard for these things. So last week was just crazy, period. But I got through it. I'm looking forward to this week being a new week. Today is Monday, and whatever happened last week. But I'm looking forward to greater things happening this week. As a Christian and as a mother, a daughter, sister, whoever, I just try to remind myself that these things don't last forever. So, and it's all a test of how you're going to handle them. You know, when you handle things the wrong way, or you don't handle them at all, you don't fight, it ends up just being so much more worse than what it could have been. And you have to find a way to fight. You got to find a way to fight through these things, because you can't let the things overtake you. You have to have the victory at the end of the day. And you can get the victory, especially if you have God by your side, if you have him fighting with you, and if you go to him and you seek him for what you're supposed to do in the midst of all of these different trials and tribulations. So I decided that I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep fighting. No matter how hard it gets, I made up my mind that I'm going to fight. Because I completely trust God, 100%. I know that he has a plan for all that I'm going through. I know that he's going to be there the entire time. And it's crazy because every time you go through a lot of major events or a lot of major circumstances that are just heavy, and you know, you just feel like giving up, it's always right before a breakthrough. So I know that a breakthrough is coming. I can feel it. I've been in this situation before. It haven't been, you know, this heavy, but there have been situations that have been, you know, hard for me. And then right as I was going through them and handling them the way that God wanted me to handle them, which is trusting him and leaning on him and depending on him, there was a breakthrough at the end of each trial. There's always a breakthrough. And then on top of that, I'm planning for an event that's happening this Sunday. And so a lot of times when you're planning something good, you know, the devil doesn't like that. So he wants to throw things at you, get you off course, get you upset, get you to think that you need to give up and that you can't go forward with your plans. That's exactly what happens. He tries to throw you off. So, but what I do know that obedience is way better than sacrifice. And God told me to do this mentor-mentee mixer. So I'm going to do it by any means necessary. I don't care what comes my way. My mind is made up. So you have to make your mind up too. If you're going through something, you got to make your mind up. You have to continue and you got to press forward. You got to push. And you, even if you got to cry your way through. I cried all last week because it's definitely hard. But think about Jesus. Jesus cried. He wept. He had to go through suffering as well. We're no better than him. So we have to continue to remind ourselves that we are God's children. And just like Jesus is God's son, we're going to go through things. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to always feel good. You know, when you're coming to your breakthrough, it's not going to always feel good. But we will have joy. And, you know, we can have peace and joy even while we're going through. That's exactly how I made it through last week. I just kept reminding myself that there's a breakthrough coming and that I have joy and I have peace. I have to tell myself these things even when I don't have them or don't see them, because I know that they're coming. I expect it to come. I'm expected, you know, to have peace. I'm expecting to have joy. I'm expecting a lot of different things to come about through all of these different things that I'm going through. So in life, we're going to have our share of struggles and complications, but we will have the victory as long as we keep using God and standing by God and depending on him and trusting in him and loving him. The breakthrough is coming. We just got to keep fighting and keep going forward and, you know, just reminding ourselves of the fact that we got to trust God, you know, wholeheartedly. We can't just say it. We actually have to really do it. And everything that I've been going through has been helping to increase my prayer life, because I wasn't praying enough. You know, I would pray in the morning probably only, but not throughout the day, not at night before I went to bed. And but I realized that wasn't enough. I needed more. God needed more from me. He needed me to show up. He needed me to keep coming to him. He needed me to depend on him. So I'm building my character while I'm going through all of these different things. I'm building my relationship with God. And it's